else he would do it.
We're going to call the meeting of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Human Services to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell?
Here.
Commissioner Tamian? Commissioner Heidemann?
Here.
Commissioner Riley? Commissioner Rushing?
Here.
Commissioner Graytop? Commissioner Bone?
Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda?
None. I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens regarding human services? Item 4, no updates. Item 5, conceptual initiatives, none. Item 6, old business. No old business. Item 7A, the Early Childhood Hub website development for final action. We've got Dr. Mercantant. How are you? Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Just to give you a little background on our early childhood data, might help you understand
Okay, thank you.
some of the data that we're doing. So, yeah, this request for the funds to be spent for a new option of the hub. I spoke to you earlier about the hub. What you have in front of you is some of our most recent St. Clair County data on basically the state of our childhood health outcomes. They're very poor. There's a need at this point for the community to develop a system of data collection as well as consistent referral and use. As you can see, for a county that's striving to be economically viable, when you look at the state of our childhood welfare, it's quite poor. The hub is a small intervention, but we have a great potential with that. It's, as I mentioned earlier, many of you may not remember, but it's a software process that we've developed over the last 3 years with grant funding that allows a central intake system for clients to identify what programs they're eligible for, and for those referrals go directly to the agency so they can be contacted directly and enrolled. The hub has further utilization options as far as we'll be able to track data as far as where clients are referred to, whether they're successfully enrolled. We often lose track of these kids after they, kind of time out on certain programs. There's gaps in their services. So there's a lot of potential. What I'm asking for today is some funding to take our current hub, which is kind of built along a call center model, and we really haven't received the kind of calls from the general public. People don't pick up the phone and call. And what we'd like to do is develop a public website portal. Not only will this be available then to the general public to log in, go through the process directly themselves, and have the same thing happen with the referrals going to the agencies that they're eligible for, but also this will be access for physicians and healthcare providers to log into the portal and find out where their clients can be seen and assisted. The programs right now that are in the portal are evidence-based, home visiting childhood programs that show positive outcomes and many of the things that I've listed here. And if this hub continues to grow, as I suspect it will, I think there'll be great potential for using other agencies and services and putting them in there as well, so we have a broad base of referral options for these kids. Any questions? We did go through the process of bidding, and as you can see by your letter, we chose Port City Communications. They have been the agency that has built this hub, and for many reasons I'm very pleased that we use them, because I feel that they understand the current software system the best, but it also came in as the best bid and the best functions for us. This money has to be spent by the end of this fiscal year, so September 31st, I think I used the right term for that. And so it's kind of urgent that we get this approved today and we get this project going and the money used, because the money will be gone at the end of October 1.
Any questions, Howard?
I would move that we approve for final action the Early Childhood Hub website development by Port City Communications for the amount of $16,065.
Support.
Discussion? David?
Just one. It has to be done this fiscal year, but I'm showing that you have this August 7th to September 28th.
Correct.
So it's going to be up and running before the
Correct.
end.
We expect the product to be available. We will pay for the product when it's completed. That is our
That's
policy.
important that we have it up and running before the end of September.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner Bone.
Yes. All right, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Item B, the Library Times Herald Database 3-year renewal.
I'll move that we forward this to the full board.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item C, the Library Ancestry Database 3-year renewal.
Will we forward that to the full board?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item D, there's a proclamation here before us for Phoebe Becker for final action.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I move the approval of the proclamation for Philippi Becker of Ira Township Library for final action.
Support?
Discussion? I'll make sure that the proper person gets that and gets it to her.
If you could, Allison asked me, and I want to get back with her. Potentially, I want to be there at the dedication of the library.
Okay, we'll let you take that then, there, David. Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item E, the Library Board appointment.
This is, I think it's, was there one or two?
Two.
Two people?
We can move them both onto the full board, Howard.
I'll move those on to the full board.
Support.
Support?
Discussion?
I know Charlotte Stanless, outstanding person. I think she's Bill Graytop's appointment.
Yep. And then everybody's going to be back at our next meeting, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item 8, other human services issues. Item nothing. Item 9, information only. Item A, the Region 10. Do I have a motion to receive and file the information?
I would move that that information be received and filed.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Or,
Support.
Aye.
aye.
Okay. Moving on to Mr. McConnell, Judiciary Public Safety. Excuse me. Give him the gavel, Howie.
He'll slap that.
Watch your fingers, Howard.
No, you've got control now. You've got the gavel.
Going to call the meeting for the Judiciary Public Safety Committee. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian, Commissioner Bone,
Here.
Commissioner Riley, Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Graytop, Commissioner McConnell.
Here. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
I'd make a motion for the agenda as follows.
Support?
Second. Oh,
We have motion and support. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any citizens to be heard? There are none. Any updates? Conceptual initiatives?
Not this evening.
Old business? Under new business, we have item 7, A through D.
That's kind of a yearly thing that we do. State pays 66%. I would move that we send on to the full board the Cooperative Reimbursement Program contract amendment for final, they want it for final
They're
action.
looking for final action.
I will move that for final action for a friend of the court.
Second.
Motion and support. Do we need roll call or roll call, please?
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bone,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell.
Yes.
Item B, Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement.
I move we forward that to the full board.
Second.
We have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Law Enforcement Service Agreement with Algonac.
I move we forward that to the full board.
Second.
We have motion and support. All in favor?
I just want to make one comment on that quick. I think 3 years now, they've had that, and I know they've been really happy down there with that whole deal with the sheriff. So a lot of credit to the sheriffs and what they're doing with those things. So.
Okay. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Community Correction Plan.
Move we forward that to the full board.
Motion by Rushing, support.
Jerry, did you want to say anything on it at all?
If there are any questions.
All in favor?
Howard,
Aye.
anybody have anything? We're all set?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Any other public safety matters or judiciary matters?
No.
If none,
I move that we receive and file packets regarding judicial and public safety matters.
motion, we have support.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move we adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Howard, are you next?
Yeah. I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Environmental and Public Works Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian, Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner O'Reilly, Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Graytop, Commissioner Heidemann.
Here. At this time, are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. I'll move.
Support.
Supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any citizens regarding any environmental or public works matters? Seeing none. Any updates? We have an update from the airport's annual report.
Thank you for having me here tonight, Commissioners, and thank you, Chris, for developing the booklets that are in front of you tonight and the PowerPoint presentation. What I'm here tonight for is to give you basically 2014 achievements. Basically, we're just going to roll through this as I like to talk, so forgive me, but we really officially have, for 2014, have you the presentation here for the FBO business for our new FBO, because you are in the FBO business. So with that being said, our goals for being in the FBO business originally were to enhance the professionalism at the airport. It was to enhance the services that we had at the airport, basically to provide an outstanding service to qualify our qualifications for, our quality control, to increase the revenue, obviously, and to support the economic development that the airport does have on the county and the state. So with that being said, I feel like I'm standing here tonight pretty proud to say that I do have a positive report to give you today. The Air Industrial Park has been recertified as Michigan Certified Park. We had a little bit of challenges that we're still kind of working through, but they did recertify us. The DEQ underground storage tank certified operators have been completed. The DEQ stormwater permits have been settled. The DNR requests that we need, those have been approved. We had a little bit of a challenge with the IRS ILS runway 422 length and width justification approval. In 2013, the FAA basically is saying that they're funding runway lengths and taxiway lengths that are no longer needed. So I guess I'll use some of the governmental runway links that maybe are 10,000 gallon or 10,000 length, and they're not needed anymore. So they're making everybody go through justification for what you currently have. So with that being said, we, with our new airport layout plan that you approved in 2013, which basically gave the FAA a complete review of everything that we had at the airport, we were able to justify with our airport layout plan, and then I guess I call it the heavy iron that we do have coming into the airport and increasing. So they did justify the width. It has been completed and approved. So as we move forward, that's one of the challenges that a lot of the airports have been having, is that they aren't justifying their current length and width. So we have passed that. It's been completed and approved. So that was quite an accomplishment for us. The Southside private taxiway was completed. That whole complete rehab went, and it went real well. The airport sign, which has been a big challenge for me, has been repaired. I had brought to you a couple months ago the agriculture regulated compliance agreement for regulated trash. That has been signed. We still have a couple little more glitches, which I may be bringing to you next month. There again has been a challenge, but that has been completed also. So for 2014 financial report, we talked about this in several ways to try to explain to you so that we were all on the same page. So for operating expenses, this is not grants, this is not Carrie's depreciation, this is not this is just, I guess we'll call it the meat and potatoes. It's the actual operating expenses and the actual income that come into the airport itself. So you can see that we had a shortfall of, I can't see that far away, $268,000 for 2014. With that being said, the FBO, I think it's best that we point out, because you are in the FBO business, that the FBO income and expenses are also part of our report tonight. The reason I have it separated is because I guess as you being in the FBO business, we need to prove that we really are moving forward and we are doing well. So, you know, we've got the fuel income, we've got the aviation services income, meaning anything that has anything to do with, nothing to do with airport operations, but anything to do with the aviation, and then of course the expenses, the fuel, the contract, and that type thing. So with that all being said, for 2014, we did have a net profit of $43,292 with the FBO itself. There again, I'm not sure if I'm confusing you, but I want you to understand that that's the FBO income and expenses, because you are in the FBO business, and then the airport operating expenses and income at that point too. So is there any questions with that?
That's been fairly consistent. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a couple $100,000 a year subsidy for.
Yes. Yes, it has. So then with that, the financial trends, kind of just gave a little bit of a short survey on that too also, so that you could see where we stood as far as, like you just said, Commissioner Bohm, that we're pretty much stayed in with around the $200,000 range for the shortfall. There again, Carrie, it's not your grants, it's not your depreciation, it's just the actual operations. Tried to figure out why we went down so far in 2012, and I guess the only thing I can come up with is we really had no snow. We had no activity, you know, for 2012. 2013 is higher again because we purchased all the buildings. There was a lot of renovations that needed to be done to a lot of the buildings. The fuel farm had to be, you know, updated. The FBO hangar had to be updated. The Yellow Aviation Training Center, that all being moved. So I think as far as our expenses are concerned, that 2013 was a little higher because we did and we really did do a lot of renovation to a lot of the buildings out there. So I think we're kind of up and down on that one, but that kind of gives you a little bit of a financial end on that, on the thing. For our fuel incentives, for our marketing and fuel incentive programs, I guess is the best way to say. Let's see, let me find my notes here.
Kathy, I just want to back up here quick on the expense side. One of the things that happened too, airports used to be funded at a 95%, 2.5%, 2.5%, 95% from federal, 2.5% state, 2.5% local. That currently is a 90%, 10%. So the county has to match 10% now whenever we do improvements out at the airport. So I think, and that happened a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So when we're doing some of these capital improvements, you know, we've got to kick in more dough, and
Than we typically did.
so I just wanted to put a little footnote there. Thank you.
So one of our incentives for being in the FBO business, and I keep repeating that because it truly is what we are now, is a competitive fuel to pricing. So as you know, it's very competitive in any industry, but in the aviation industry, it's because you can land anywhere to purchase fuel. You can land anywhere, you know, to receive that service. So the service is just as competitive as the fuel pricing is. So how we've been pricing our fueling is through three, and what I mean by I say Brad Schreiner from Aviation Express and myself, is that we found out the best practice was to go through three monitoring of two pricing web pages, which is AirNav, ForeFlight, and Global Air. Then along with that, we do our airport surrounding, in our surrounding areas that are actually competitive to us. So we've determined that, then we determine the price of the cost of the fuel, the labor, and the overhead, and we mark it up on the marketed averages between those four things. And we've actually been able to remain competitive with fuel selling. A contract fuel dealer. We are now contract fuel dealer, which is a very nice marketing aspect for us, because what it is that larger flight departments purchase fuel directly from the distributor. The distributor then works with branded FBOs such as we are, and they pay us what is called a into-plane fee. So basically it's a handling fee that the customer pays for us to handle their wholesale fuel, if that makes sense. So with that being said, there are so many large corporate aircraft that do purchase contract fuel, and we were losing out on that because they wouldn't purchase fuel from us because it's cheaper for them to go, I can't mention the airport, but it's cheaper for them to go elsewhere because they can't purchase the contract fuel. So we're making money by the volume through the contract fuel, by being a contract fuel dealer. So it's really, we've increased our fuel sales, our jet fuel sales quite a lot being the contract fuel dealer. We've developed, basically we had a lot of our tenants that were going elsewhere to purchase fuel. So what we did is part of a marketing plan was to develop a fuel discount card for your tenants, for your locally based aircraft, so that they receive a discount on their fuel if they're based here at our airport. And that's actually working quite well too. So then, as we talked before, Commissioner Rushing, the Aeroclass Rewards program gives the pilot themselves their personal points for them to purchase fuel where, because it is, bottom line, it is their decision where they're going to purchase fuel. So we've been really marketing the Aeroclass Rewards program because it gives them the, I guess, the personal need to purchase fuel from us. And that's been helping substantially too. Bill and I laughed about the birthday program. Something so simple as your tenants is sending them a birthday card and said, you know, you get a 5 cents off discount for your birthday. It's like it's been this little scuttlebutt. When's your birthday? So it's just these little things that are making our local tenants purchase fuel from us rather than going elsewhere. So that's moving forward too. We have developed some brochures basically that are ready to be marketed. We're going to email them and mailing through a corporate flight, just corporate to the corporate flight dispatchers to begin marketing the fuel and our new customer service. So I think these brochures will kind of basically say that, as you called it, we're rebranded. We're new and we're new blood. So we're hoping that the brochures will kind of help us with our fuel incentive also. So we're ready to move forward on that also. For 2015 incentives, you know, marketing is obviously one of the heavy ones. Bill has given us a budget to work with as far as marketing tools, basically to draw the air traffic, number one, into the county, to increase our fuel sales. our hangar rentals. I just rented my last hangar yesterday. So, we've got the corporate hangar that we need to. We've got 6 corporate jets in there now. We need to start marketing and getting aggressive on marketing what we do have left. So we're working on that. We've also created the brochures and completed, they're printed, they're highlight out basically our new FBO services and, as you call them, Chris, our new branding. I like that. I like that word. So on top of that, we have kind of went over a few things that say, most airports have a little tag name or a slogan, or you can get there from there. There's different slogans that we've never had. So Chris and I have kind of developed a slogan contest that we're going to start next month, and basically it'll be a community event. It'll be the aviation industry too, but it'll also be a kind of a social media for the community to help us find a tag name for our airport. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So that will kind of promote us a little bit too. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we need some type of a tag name that sets us apart from all the other Michigan airports. Whether it's the blue meets green and all that kind of thing. We'll come up. We'll see what they come up with. Social media, Aviation Express has created a Facebook, their webpage, that kind of thing. So we've had a lot of hits and that kind of thing on Facebook, which is nice because we just had the Oshkosh Air Show, and they've been posting pictures on there from their air show. We're working real closely with the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce to include the air services, the airport itself, in all their promotional events, and to start promoting that throughout the convention center also. So that, that's a nice marketing tool because they're all new on all of that too with your new convention center. So we're looking forward to working with them too. We're currently reviewing the aviation related publications. They're very costly, and it's one of those things. Are we really going to get the effect that we need from those publications? So we're still kind of kicking those around to see whether or not we really will get the need or the marketing from that we really need. The flight school, the aviation center, which you all know is the building that was moved from underneath the Blue Water Bridge, is completely ready to go. Was a little bit of challenge with that too, but we're ready to go with that. Brad Schreiner from Aviation Express has been working with the 2 flight instructors that we do have at the airport now to try to merge them together and basically make a solid, strong flight school. In the meantime, he has met with a flight school from another airport that is looking to extend his operations. We met with him last Monday. He loved the building, he loved the airport, he loved the layout. Basically what we've asked him to do is give us a request for proposal, like what kind of a proposal can you bring to us and bring to this board to say, this is what I propose that I can do with your flight school. So I will be bringing that back to you as soon as he brings us his proposal. The best case scenario will be that everybody work together and we create a real solid flight school out of that building. It is also ready for any kind of meetings that anybody needs also. Marketing, I kind of, like I said, I think we really need to get aggressive at it. We're at the beginning stages of it, but we really do need to continue to market it very, very aggressively. But we're there to that point now. So. Aviation mechanic, Brad Schreiner has been talking with an aviation mechanic that is from the UP that is basically interested in leasing floor space in the FBO hangar. There again, nothing's set in stone. We're waiting on a proposal and some ideas with him, but that would also give us a mechanic on duty, floor space throughout the FBO hangar, so that will actually help us a lot. Rebranding, as Chris says, I like that word because I guess we're new blood, and so that just makes it a little more positive of a outlook. We had 3 or 4 de-ice and anti-icing operation requests for 2014. Of course, we had a crazy winter, but the two de-icing requests that we did were substantial people in the county that basically couldn't come here. They had to go to Pontiac because we didn't have the de-icing. I've been talking with Commissioner Riley, and we have purchased a used de-icing cart and tower from Pellston Airport for $600. Got a great deal. But anyway, I'm in the process right now of researching biodegradable fluids, because obviously it has to be totally biodegradable, it has to be put into our stormwater plan. We have a lot of time before ice comes, but we are going to heavily look into de-ice and anti-ice operations. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, well, then that's what you have the big corporate hangar for. But what happens is that you put a cold airplane in there, you melt it down, it warms itself. As soon as you pull that back out, it instantly ices again, because it's just like your windshield type thing. So it does work for some people, but for some of them it doesn't. So we'll be, we're reviewing that right now, and I will be bringing that back to you also. The cargo operations, like kind of the same thing. Talked to Commissioner Riley about that. We had two, which is wonderful, but we had 2 cargo operations outbound of St. Clair County in the month of June and July. We did not have a fork truck to load the cargo operations, which there again, it's going out of the county, so it's wonderful. So we borrowed one of the tenants' fork trucks. So we're kind of going to watch that to say, to see whether or not we're in the position that we really do need to purchase a forklift to move forward with our cargo operations. And with a little luck, I'll be coming back and saying, yes, we need that. 2017 Michigan Airport Executives Airport Managers Conference. I've applied. I've submitted for. It's nothing set in stone yet, but I have submitted for them to hold their conference here in your new conference center in the county of St. Clair. So I'm kind of excited about that. Let's see. Corporate hangar. The corporate hangar, as you know, was purchased in 2003 from a private identity. There have been no improvements whatsoever made to that corporate hangar. And as we purchased it to increase the revenue to the airport, but he also increased it for the service so that we can put your corporate jet away for the winter, for storm weather, for the storms we've had this week. So because there's been no improvements, there are things that I'll probably be coming in front of you for my 2015 incentive, is to kind of update that, to keep us in the professional mode that we're moving forward to. We have 6 corporate airplanes in there now, and we've started to receive, and I talked to you, Bill, about we've started receiving complaints on the aggregate that's in front of there. It's just completely falling apart, is a bottom line to say. So that's one of my goals, is to get some hangar improvements done in that, and so that we can increase the revenue there. And then the 2 offices that are there also need to, we need to start marketing them too. Let's see, terminal building. I guess as we move forward with, I guess I need to say, as this board moves forward with the improvements, the investments that you've made in the county just in the 7 years that I've been the airport director, I feel that the more this board moves our county forward, it's that trickle-down effect where the airport is going to move forward too. So do we now then take a hard look, and there's no rush for any of this, but I just want to bring it to you. Do we need to take a strong look and say, do we need a terminal building to accommodate our customers, or do we just need an addition, as Bill and I had talked to, on the FBO hangar, because we really are running out of room in the small lobby area, and those of you who have been out there know that it is small. The lobby's small, the pilot briefing is small, and the pilot lounge is small. There have been several times, especially lately, where the pilot lounge, which is where they rest and debrief their own selves, says we've had to use the overflow of the Friends of the Airport, which is fine, but it is not giving, it's no privacy for them over there, and it's not giving there, again, that professional image that we're trying to put across here. So I kind of just want to put a plug in your ear that, maybe it is time to kind of start wondering if we need to have a new terminal building. One of the bigger things for me is that the State of Michigan Office of Aeronautics has redone a community benefit assessment for the airport for 2014, meaning the economic impact for 2014. So the state impact that the county, or that the airport itself has on the state is $61 million in 2014. This comes from, let me see if I have my notes here. Comes from many things. It comes from aviation-related jobs. It comes from the non-aviation jobs. It comes from business travel. Comes from personal travel. Comes from the industrial park, which is moving forward also. Just basically down. It's a trickle-down effect. So what they do is I give them the information then they run a program that they have, and Commissioner Heidemann, you and I have talked about this before. So the impact that the airport has alone on the state of Michigan is $60 million. The impact that the airport has on the county of St. Clair per the Office of Aeronautics is $60 million. When we redid this, Commissioner Heidemann, you remember in 2009, it was $55 million. So we have increased our impact. Like I said, these figures come from several directions: for the actual jobs, the wages, the sales, the airport related, non-airport related, the visitors spending the business, whether it be business or pleasure, into the county, the sales of the businesses, the freight, the cargo, the catering, the shipping, the traveling from the airport. It's all this down ripple effect. And I want to give you an example of that, because this past 2 months we've had 2 jets land for the Mackinac race. They both purchased fuel, they both paid landing fees, they both purchased rental cars. St. Clair Offshore Racing, a jet landed with the crew for the St. Clair Racing last week. Same thing, they purchased fuel, they purchased a rental car. We had a small aircraft land while they were there that day, when they were on their way home from vacation, and they were purchasing fuel. They were in the FBO lobby listening to the crew that were going to the St. Clair races, and they both looked at each other and said, "You want to stay?" It was kind of cute. But what I guess I'm getting at is that they stayed in St. Clair County, they rented a car from the airport, they went to the St. Clair races. So as you people build the county itself, it's all going to trickle down. So whether it not be business or the small personal people, we are going to move forward as you move us forward, because it all goes in a positive way. So in your booklet, Chris has basically made some little graphs for the employments. It's on page 3, or do I have them on here? Hang on. Nope, I jumped ahead, sorry. But in your booklet, Chris basically made us some graphs for the employments for the last 7 years. It's on page 3. So you can see that obviously the economy was a little better in 2008, and we've kind of from 2010 stayed consistent with our takeoff and landings. Based aircraft, same thing. For the last, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I moved forward on that. So, but for the last 7 years, you can see that our based aircraft have pretty much stayed consistent. Fuel sales, you know, our gallons sold, those go from the previous FBO to half of 2013 to half of 2014. Same thing, they've kind of stayed pretty consistent with each other. So we're looking forward to seeing all that increase when I come back here in 2015. So with that being said, the five-year plan, this is an MDOT Office of Aeronautics plan. It's much like your CIP plan. It's a working tool for them. It's nothing set in stone, but it is a financial and working tool for them. So for 2015, which we're already pretty well underway, the design for the taxiway, which this board has already approved, has been completely done. We had our pre-bid meeting July 22nd. We're ready to start rehabbing the industrial park taxiways, which there again is going to increase activity in the industrial park. The start date for that is probably close to the middle of September. So 2015 are pretty well under control. The runway, the justification and the length that's also done. 2016, the plan is the design for runway 422, the lighting and rehab, and in the airport lighting vault. And Commissioner Heiderman, you remember the vault. Pay attention. So anyway, that is for 2016 will be just the design for that. 2017 will be the actual rehab of the 422 runway lighting, the relocation and the rehab of that, and then the airfield lighting vault will be updated and relocated also. For 2018, the design for rehab runway 422 and the rehab for the ILS runway 422 are in there together. My thoughts is that we're going to have to pay forward, but this is what the Office of Aeronautics, MDOT Office of Aeronautics, is stating for us for the next 5 years. The reason that we need to readdress the runway for 422 is that because it's an ILS runway, the FAA does not allow the pavement condition index to go any lower than 74. In 2013, they did a testing on the PCI testing on it, and it was 89. They came out what's actually been 3 weeks, and they retested everything on the whole airport, which is nice. And so we should be finding out pretty quick what runway 422 came in. But what I'm trying to get across is, and this is going to be costly, is that as we increase and as we get the more heavy iron, the infrastructure of that runway is not going to hold that the weight under runway 422. When I first hired in here, which was 18 years ago, they were redoing runway 422 when I hired in here. So by the time they're ready to do it, it will be at a 20-year limit. So that will be 2018. There again, I think we'll probably have to pay forward just because of the amount of money. And then they've got us for 2019 for the taxiway lighting for taxiway B and C. Let me double check my notes here to make sure I got everything. Your industrial park is basically, I feel, moving forward. Currently, there's 196 employees. I did a survey that just the 1st of April. 75% of them are full-time employees, 25% of them are part-time employees. Lots 62 and 65, which are non-aviation, we've received a intent to purchase those lots. We're in negotiation. I've been working very heavy with the EDA to make sure that that all goes smoothly. The appraisal, we appraised the aviation lots in 2014 also. They came back in at $25,000 per lot. We appraised the non-aviation lots in the industrial park. They came back in at $20,000 per lot. The ground leases were under review right now because the ground leases, and I've been working with the EDA very closely on this too, we feel are a little bit extreme with the economy that it is. But the reason why we're having them appraised and the reason why we're working with the EDA is to make sure that we do get them right. But they are under review as we speak. As you all know, the area in the red are the leased areas, and those leases are 30-year leases, 30 years renewable. They're all coming up within the next 3-4 years on their 30-year expiration. So we will be reevaluating them. So that's why we need to make sure that the ground leases, the rate is fair and marketable. Let's see what else we got. Let me run through my notes real quick. So Airport Appreciation Day this year will be September 27th, which we call Wings, Wheel, and Water. The slogan contest, we're going to start there again. The Aeronautics Board will be the judges on that. We've got a local pilot who's volunteered a flight for the winner who we choose for the slogan contest. The airport, October 2016, the airport will be 65 years old. We have started kind of basically throwing away around some ideas to give a celebration to the community, to celebrate with the community, to celebrate with the aviation industry itself. I did find, and I talked with your IT, I did find the actual reel-to-reel when they actually dedicated this 65 years ago. So it would be nice if we could kind of incorporate that into our celebration. So I don't know if you have any questions or...
Any questions for Kathy?
Just a comment.
Yes, David?
Thank you for the report, very extensive and very good report. I like your 5-year plan on it, and looking at the figures that you've given us, at a cost of an average of $51,000 annually, for a total of around $265,000 for a 5-year plan. I might be off a couple thousand from your figures, but we'll get 5.3 million or 5.29 million improvements in the next 5 years, with only a cost of $51,000 or $265,000 total for the county.
That's a good point, Commissioner. I would also like to emphasize the economic impact. You don't see that until, if it wasn't there, you'd notice it, but because it's there. But $60 million is a lot of money coming to our community.
And it is nice that the Office of Aeronautics and the FAA are recognizing us to say, okay, because we've not been ignored in any way, to say, yes, this is what that airport needs, and this is what, so it's kind of nice because, there's a lot of the airports that aren't getting that kind of funding. So there again, it's not set in stone, but it's their financial plan, and it's been approved by them to this point. So
thank you, Kathy.
I feel good about it. So
Yeah, just a little,
questions?
I guess, plug on for the airport. I mean, been on the board 10.5 years. Howard, you were around. A little dicey early on with the airport. We weren't really where we wanted to be at the time, and then we had an opportunity probably 3 or 4 years ago to put some things together, and I think as a board we feel comfortable where the airport's at, the direction that things are heading in, and fortunate that we have you, and we're able to get Brad down here too. So
we're getting a lot of positive feedback. I should have brought it, but I didn't think about it. But if you go on AirNav and you put the PH in, which is our call signal, there's a lot of positive, is there not, Chris? There's a lot of positive feedback on Aviation Express from that. So, we had a tremendous amount of traffic last week with Oshkosh, which is the air show in Wisconsin. Of course, the weather cooperated both in Wisconsin and here, so that helped increase the traffic. But, we had 98 tickets of fuel for that week. We could be a matter of 3 gallons of fuel because it's a small aircraft, or up to 1,000 gallons because of it. But we were extremely busy the last 2 weeks. Like I said, with 99 fuel tickets. So we moved forward. We had a lot of them clearing customs. A lot of them cleared customs, went to the air show, stopped back, happy with our competitive fuel pricing and with our service. They stopped back again, had a hot dog at the Friends of the Airport or hamburger, very social that way. And it just made for a nice community environment, I guess. So I do believe that, the service, the fuel, the competitive fuel kind of thing, that helped us a lot this week too. So it does feel good. So if you have any questions.
Seeing none, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Might want to hang around. We have some questions about the write-offs coming up. Any updates regarding environmental or public works from commissioners? Seeing none, did I ask about citizens to be heard? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, thank you. Any conceptual initiatives from administration?
No.
No old business, moving to new business. And the first thing is the airport, lost it on mic. The airport accounts receivable write-off, $25,336.69. Any commissioners have questions regarding any of those write-offs?
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Motion's been made and supported. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you, Kathy. Next item on the agenda is the landfill accounts receivable write-offs for $174,000 $518.44 due to the bankruptcy of Richfield Management LLC.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
One of the reasons that we have been really working on going with the direct billing, I remember we got hit for about 300,000, 180, now 175, and
Now,
yeah, and trying in essentially the direct billing is where the municipalities pay us directly. These companies, obviously, they get paid from the municipalities. They don't pay, and just it's going to be another protection measurement, call it whatever you want.
The one thing about direct billing from to the municipalities where the waste that is hauled to the landfill per ton. If I recall, you worked with Contraville and Marysville, and they experienced some savings by switching to direct billing.
Yeah, substantial.
And just contracting the hauler to haul the waste.
I think there's 4 people currently that we have. When their contracts come up with the haulers, the county, Jim Logson, our consultant, and Matt, they've actually been handling the bid specs for them, and yeah, it's percentage-wise been pretty substantial with everybody that's been involved. And it's good for us, too. It takes the, that opportunity for us to get stung out of it, too, so.
Commissioner
Just
Rushing.
for brief clarification, I know Amterra took over Richfield. Do they bear any responsibility for the bankruptcy of Richfield?
No.
Okay. Just a question. That's a good chunk of money, so you don't ask, you don't get.
That's the game they've been playing. They repaint the name on the outside of the boat and file some new legal papers. Not this is anything against the lawyers preparing a new corporation. It leaves the county $750,000 short. And should we be moving toward a resolution of some sort to basically mandate that for municipalities and townships that the only way we'll operate is with direct billing?
I don't think we're there yet, Howard. It's starting to gain steam with the rest of them as we've been offering it up, so.
I mean, once they find out that, it puts them in a better position financially, it would seem like it would be a
It's going to
no-brainer.
take a while to do the gamut. Like, so when we first just did Cotterville, they were a small township, and they, saw substantial savings. City of Marysville saw, saved a ton. And so we have some good case study now on it, and it's working well. So I just think, like anything, the more we continue to talk to the cities about it and encourage that they, do it. I don't think we're there as a quote-unquote mandatory yet, but.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yeah, we've talked about this, but if you had a resolution, it'd be a non-binding resolution. I think the corporate, you can't force elected body to contract with the county for direct billing. That would be individually on each municipality within St. Clair County. And I think they're moving forward. You're going to get more and more. I know Riley's currently looking at it, and I know Altitus has gotten some information on it, and they're looking forward to doing direct billing with the county. I'm sure many other townships are.
I think the city of Port Huron is looking at it too. Is that correct that we can't?
Yes, I haven't looked at the issue specifically, but we are a closed county. We force them to keep their waste here anyhow. And I don't know offhand when these contracts are coming up, but I've heard nothing but good things about the direct billing. So I'm not so sure that you'll have much difficulty working that into future contracts. As far as a mandate, Commissioner, I haven't looked at that. I would tend to agree with Mr. Rushing on that issue, though.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll send this on to the full board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Smiths Creek activities report. I see we're up again in tonnage, so it's moving in the right direction. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion that the landfill activities report be received and filed.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. No other environmental public works matters to come before the board at this time. information only, the Clay Township Notice of Public Hearing for the ORV ordinance. Park and Rec financial documents are included. The Solid Waste Commission resignation, the Drainage District boundary notification, and the City of Marysville resolution regarding the nuclear waste repository that is being proposed in Canada.
I move that we receive and file the information only information.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Opposed? None opposed. The receive and file the packets regarding the environmental public works matters.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move we adjourn.
Support.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
At this time, I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian, Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Riley, Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Greatop.
All right, moving on to number 2. If we have no additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda, I would like to have a motion to accept it as presented.
So moved.
Have support.
I support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. This time, do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move to the updates. And I see we have a presentation. It's for the fiscal year 2014 audit presentation, Stewart, Bouvet, and Whipple. If you would, please. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. More reading.
Thank you.
Hey, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Paul Bailey. I'm the partner in charge of your audit engagement. This is Karen Shafiq. She's the manager. She runs the day-to-day activity. As you know, you contract with our firm to perform your annual financial audit that is required. I think each of you got a copy of it in your packet. It's about 200 pages, very lengthy. What Karen just handed out is kind of a synopsis of that report. I know you don't want to go through all 200 pages here tonight, so we tried to narrow it down. Again, you contract with us to do your financial audit. We spend about 4 to 5 weeks here, middle to late April, doing your audit into the middle of May. Then it takes us about 3 or 4 weeks to pull it all together, with getting it to the state of Michigan by June 30th, and also what they call the GFOA, which we'll talk about there. Overall, everything went well with your audit. We'll talk some of the financial numbers, but everything went well. If you turn just past the table, the first page of that outline, one of the first things in your audit report is something called the Independent Auditor's Report. This is technically the only portion of the report that belongs to our firm, Stewart, Bouvet, and Whipple. And you have what they call an unmodified or clean opinion. That's what you're striving for. When the State of Michigan Department of Treasury gets your audit report, that's what they're looking for when they receive it, one of the main things that they're looking for. Again, it's called an unmodified or clean opinion. Number 2 there on that outline is something called the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Each year you submit your audit report to the Governmental Finance Officers Association in Chicago. They do a very, very detailed review of your audit report, and if you pass all the areas, they give you a certificate of achievement. Your 2013 report received that award. You've submitted for 2014, and I expect you to receive it for 2014. You've received it for a number of years, and I commend administration on taking the time and energy to submit it for the award. There. The next 2 items we're not going to spend a lot of time on. There's something called the Management Discussions and Analysis in that report. It's basically about a 15-page letter that just gives some summarized information about the county and how the financial statements are put together. We'll talk a little bit about that. Roman numeral 4 there, something called the County-Wide Financial Statements. About 8 or 10 years ago, a governmental accounting standards changed and required that there actually be 2 sets of financial statements in your annual financial report. There's the commercial way of looking at the county, and there's the traditional way governments have always reported. Number 4 is the commercial way. And what the major differences are, it includes all the buildings, all the assets that's owned by the county, and any bond issues and long-term liabilities, where the traditional way of governments, your buildings and things are not recorded on the balance sheet. We're not going to spend a lot of time with the commercial way tonight, but just wanted to make you aware of that. When you're looking at it, there actually are 2 different sets of financial statements, two different sets of books for the county. At the bottom of page 1, we'll start talking about your general fund, your combined general fund. You'll see your combined general fund had $19,557,521 of assets. You had liabilities of $7,369,679. Something called deferred inflow of resources. They're similar to a liability of $409,974, which left your fund balance as of December 31st, 2014 of $11,777,868. And you can see the 2013 numbers right next to it on that outline. If we flip the page, on the top of page 2 is something called the Statement of Revenues, Expenses, and Changes in Fund Balance, or the operating statement. Your general fund took in a little over $53 million. You spent $48.5 million. You then had what they call other financing sources, uses of just under $4.9 million. Is actually uses of resources. So for the year ended December 31st, 2014, you had a net change in your fund balance of a negative $330. For reporting purposes, your general fund consists of your general fund that you budget plus 2 other funds, your budget incentive fund and your development fund. If you back the activity of those out, really your general fund as you know it, that you approve each year, towards to the good $49,228. So for the year, out of $53 million of revenues, basically a break-even year in your general fund, positive $49,228. There, as always, we include some graphs for you. Page 7, we'll flip there first. Page 7 just lists your general fund revenues by major category, or what they call function. You'll see a little over 50% of every dollar of the revenues come in through taxes, about 52.4%. The next largest chunk there are intergovernmental revenues, which is your state shared revenue and grants of 22.4%. And you can see interest and rent, charges for services is about 13.7% and so forth. Pretty constant from year to year. Taxes in 2013 was 49.1. Again, it was up to 52.4 in 2014. That just gives you some idea where the dollars for the general fund come from. Again, I'm sure you're aware of that, but you know, basically 50 cents on your dollar of your general fund comes from taxes. Page 8 does the same thing for your expenditures. The top graph is for the year ended December 31st, 2014, and then the bottom graph is for December 31st, 2013. You'll see about 40% of your general fund budget is used for public safety, police, fire, jail, those type of things. The next largest piece is something called general government. That includes a lot of different things. It includes the treasurer's office, the assessor's office, the administrator's office, the controller's office, and so forth. These classifications aren't determined by the county. They're actually determined by the Michigan Department of Treasury. They provide what they call a chart of accounts that tell you where each of the county departments should be classified. So they try to get consistency from one unit to the other. And again, you can see the public safety for the 2 years was both 40% of your general fund budget both years. Page 9 is a very nice chart. It shows your general fund balance for the last 10 years. You'll see it's gradually went up from 2005 all the way through 2014. I commend you on that. You know, in these difficult times of budget constraints, you've been able to hold your budget and actually increase your fund balance slightly in your general fund pretty much each and every year. And that's good budgeting on your part. And if you turn to page 10, kind of gives you the same information, just shows your The black line, which you can hardly see, and the red line, the black line is your revenues, the red line is your expenditures. Almost each and every year they match. You can see there from 2005 to 2014. The one thing you will note is, 2008 was the peak of the revenues for the general fund, and it has dropped for a number of different years there, as you're well aware. If we go back now to page 2 of the outline, the number 3 there just gives you an analysis of fund balance. It gives you the number. There's basically 5 classifications of fund balance. There's what they call a non-spendable, and the majority of that is made up of long-term receivables. You've bought drain notes that you will get your money back over a number of years, but you can't spend it again. So there's about $5.4 million tied up there. Committed fund balance is for the budget incentive fund of $1.3 million. The assigned fund balance is for the development revolving fund, and that leaves an unassigned fund balance in your general fund of $4,035,679. When you add that all together, that totals at $11,777,868 there. Number 4 there just breaks those non-spendable and committed and signed down that I kind of just talked about again. On the bottom of page 2, as you're well aware, in addition to the general fund, there's a lot of other what they call funds or accounts used to account for the various activities of the county. You have 4 other funds that are called major funds, pretty significant to the county. The Parks and Rec Fund there, you can see the assets, liabilities, the deferred inflows of resources, and finally the fund balance. You'll see the Parks and Rec had a fund balance as of December 31st, 2014 of $1,947,000. The library had a fund balance of $2,620,282. The senior citizens millage had $2,236,544, and the mental health building fund just $610. If we turn over to page 3, top of page 3 for those same 4 funds just shows the revenues that each one of them took in, the expenditures, and what the change in fund balance was. All of them had a positive change in fund balance. The Parks and Rec was to the good $71,470. The library was to the good $197,196. The senior citizens millage fund was positive $776,182. And the mental health building debt fund just breaks even each and every year. The rest of that page is a number of other funds that are used to keep track of activity. It lists each of the revenues and expenditures. I'm not going to read them off to you. If they're not in brackets on the far right-hand column, it means revenues exceeded expenditures. If they're in brackets, it means expenditures exceeded revenues. Just because something's in brackets does not mean it's a problem area. It just means for that year you spent more money than you took in. Probably intended to do it that way, but again, just because it's in brackets does not mean it's a negative. On page 4, the first part of that page just lists those same funds and the fund balances for each of those funds. If you look at the total column, you'll see each and every one of the funds had a positive fund balance, so you have no funds in what they call a deficit condition, which is definitely a positive. And you can, again, see how much fund balance or carry forward into the 15-year each of those funds had. At the bottom of page 4, you have what they call enterprise funds. Your airport director was just talking about the airport. That's one of them. You have the solid waste fund, the delinquent tax revolving fund, the airport, the sheriff concession, and then another fund that's a combination of a few smaller funds. Just shows the assets and the liabilities in what they call the net position there. For each fund. The net position is kind of like equity if you're a corporation. One thing that's not available resources to spend, that includes the buildings, the runways for the airport, things like that. We'll turn the page and talk about more of the spendable portion in a few minutes. If you turn over to the top of page 5, this is, again, called your statement of revenues and expenses, or the operating statement for each fund. The first fund is the solid waste. You can see the revenues and expenditures that come in. You'll see the solid waste fund shows what they call a net income of $3.2 million. That's a little deceiving because if you go up about 3 lines, there's something called capital contributions. That's the forgiveness of bond debt by the federal government. Your bonds had a 40-60, the loan that you had, forgiveness of debt. That's the forgiveness portion. If you added that back, your solid waste fund would have a net loss of about $40,000 after you transferred to other funds. You see your DTR funds after transfers had a positive $59,932. Your airport there on the accrual basis of accounting, which includes depreciation, which your director indicated her report, don't I? I want to make sure that when somebody's looking at both the numbers, there is a little bit of difference. It actually showed a loss of $183,000, but that does include depreciation on your airport system, and you can see the sheriff and the other funds there also. Working capital there, the next line, if you took your current assets, cash and receivables, and paid off all your current liabilities, how much would you have left over? And you would see your solid waste fund would have about $10.5 million, your delinquent tax revolving fund about $29.1, the airport about $323,000. That's similar to a fund balance in each of those funds. Item E there is something called your internal service fund. Your internal service fund is a fund designed to actually service all the other funds of the county. And it's basically self-insurance for health care, unemployment, disability, workman's comp, and things like that. What you do is you charge all those other funds, and then you pay the bills out of this fund. And that's basically what that fund is all about. Page 6. Is just a summary of your basic retirement system and your other post-retirement system. As of December 31st, 2014, your basic retirement systems had a net assets or net position of $212,716,000. Your other post-employment benefit fund had a net position of $39,555,185. And you can see the next thing there is called the statement of changes in net position. Your basic retirement system actually added to the net assets or net position of $7.2 million, and your other post-employment benefits actually added $1,720,000 to their net position. That's a very, very quick synopsis of the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2014. I'd be happy to spend a lot more time with you and going through all 200 pages if you would like, or answer any questions. There are 2 other reports just kind of stuck with that report. One of the one I want to talk about is the report on internal control. We spend quite a bit of time taking a look at what kind of controls you have over your accounting system, and if we become aware of any weaknesses that you have, we're required to communicate it to the board. Again, this year we're happy to report that you do not have what they call any material weaknesses. That basically means is you try to get 2 sets of eyes on most types of transactions. There is a management letter there also called the audit communication letter. It just kind of explains the audit process and whether we had any difficulties. I started out by saying we didn't have any difficulties. It is a very, very, very large audit, to do. Again, it takes us somewhere between 4 and 5 weeks out here to conduct it. And with doing that, we do a number of different governmental units. A number of times we have recommendations. They're attached to that management letter. When we get this whole report done, we sit down with your administration and go spend 3 or 4 hours going through it in a lot of detail, talking about any suggestions we have, also about the numbers. I'd be happy to answer. I know you just received it in your packet tonight, but I'd be happy to answer anything about the numbers or the letters that I can at this time.
Does anybody have any questions? I just have one because we have you here. I can always ask Carrie because she's very good at this. But because I have you here, on page 2, you're looking at your unassigned for the analysis of the fund balance. You're showing $4,035,679. Then you refer back to page 94, which you're listed twice there. But I'm showing on page 94, the only difference in the figures is your community and economic development brownfield redevelopment. That's not included in this statement, or the capital outlay for the municipal building. Why is that included on this report? Just, if I take those 2 off, I'll come up with your $4,035,679. Appears that the brownfield redevelopment municipal building figures that you have on page 94, which you make reference to.
What, let me just, I gotta double check what you're
I
asking.
can ask Carrie. On page 2, at number 4, you're making reference to the assigned fund balance. And just above that, you have the analysis of the fund balance, the unassigned. If I take the those two figures out, you end up, because you have the $1,364,224 listed under the combined general fund budget incentive, then you continue with other figures that'll add up, but I'm coming up with, on page 94.
Go ahead, Karen.
These figures on page 2 is just the general fund.
Yeah.
So those
So
different funds are in the general fund.
that's what those two, they're in different funds, and that's why it's
Yes,
not listed.
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
that's just my question. I could ask Carrie, but
That's okay.
I saw it, so I thought I'd ask you while you were here. Do we have any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Anytime during the year, if you have any questions on the audit report, feel free to give me a call. Thank you. It's a pleasure to work with you again.
Do we need to have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Do we have any conceptual initiatives?
No, we do not.
Okay, we have none. We have no old business. We'll move on to 7A, new business, public guardian reorganization. If you would like.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Mike McMillan from the Probate and Family Courts. I'm certainly not going to take up a ton of time. I'm not going to reread my submission, but I believe that Mr. Kaufman and his staff have done an accurate recommendation and analysis of the request. In a nutshell, what we're looking to do is, due to some recent say retirements, but vacancies in that department, we've had an opportunity to do some reorganization. Had an opportunity to look at our current structure and determine that there are some significant deficiencies with the way that we're operating at this time. The reorganization would address a lot of those issues, specifically the high turnover rate that we have. By transitioning from what we had as part-time to a full-time person, we're actually putting less bodies in the office, but we are going to solve the issue of retainment. And the adjustment of the wage scale to reflect the current job description in the public guardian position is reflective of the new job duties and requirements to have that office. It's a fairly significant office. We have about 400 cases annually. Those cases are very cumbersome, for lack of a better term. They're ongoing. There's many things that we have to do aside from just case management. We have to go out and act as social workers, act as financial planners, act as reporters to the court. We have to submit federal and state reports. That being said, there's a lot of liability, potential liability to the county. And we've had a couple instances in the past little bit where we've had to pay back some money that, unfortunately, due to some organizational issues, lack of training, things of that nature, that we've had to pay out. So, trying to mitigate some of that stuff, and I believe that this restructuring will accommodate a lot of that.
I'd make the motion.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Just one. We're going to move this to full board. Any expedited that you want final action tonight? It was pretty breaking down what report you gave to us.
Well, I
don't know if we want to do that or not. But,
certainly being someone green, I would love final action.
You know, let's wait till the other guys get here.
Yeah.
Just because we're light 3, you know. So.
Okay. All right.
That works too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This time, do we have any other ways and means matters? Seeing none, we'll move on to information only, which we have none.
I move that we receive and file packets pertaining to Ways and Means materials.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to
passed.
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.